Welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast. We are back. It's been a bit. We have the fan questions percolating, and Javier is about to rejoin us real quick. There he is. And today we are going with a different format based on our new producer is helping us make a better podcast, right?
Yep, my son Jeremy. He's so. If you guys like our podcast now, because you say, "Oh, your podcast's better," it wasn't us. It was the producer, my son. He uh, he has a brighter sense of what people like than I think that Len and I do.
It's true. It's true. He's the young generation. He's listening to you. He's reading what the fans are asking, and he wants to get them what they want to hear. We're like, I think they want, yeah. Oh, hey, Hob. No,
Yeah, that's it. That's what they want. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, that's just like when you're interviewing these old guys that are old generation guys that when you were growing up, they were incredible, but the new generation is like they have no interest because they can't identify with who you're talking about. There's no history on them that's in their eyes. They have to go to the archives to look and see. Oh yeah, this guy, he fought in the caveman days, and oh yeah. But only very few cavemen that are still alive remember those guys, and you and I are one of those.
yeah,
But
yeah.
everybody else, and the other new generation is they're not looking at that stuff. So for you and I, it's entertaining. For them, it's like, I'll tune off. You're not in.
It's like talking about music from 40 years ago. They're like, I don't know what that song is. I get it.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly,
So
exactly.
so Jeremy, he pulled together some of the fan questions he thought were most interesting, gave us some topics, and right now you are in Yaz Island quarantine time.
Yeah, I came down here with Ushman, Habib's cousin, and Umar, who's fighting, and we're all here. Everybody else fought at UAE Warriors, EFC. Habib and UAE Warriors are bonded together to throw a great show. I just watched it. 6 out of 7 Eagle Warriors guys won. One lost. Habib lost, and due to he broke his finger in the first round. I didn't know. But I just looked. I go, oh, wow, he broke his finger. Yeah. That's the game, though. That's the game. You win, you lose, and regardless of why you lost, you still lost.
Um, I think it's good that they get to fight. I was just talking with our Italian buddy, the other fighter kid that came to your gym, Enrico, and he's like, it's really hard to get a fight these days. So it's like it's nice that Habib set it up. They all get fights. They're ready to go. It's to get in the loop. I think a lot of people are probably just sitting around going, "When's my day? When's my day?" Right? You know.
Yeah. And it's something you're saying. I did interviews earlier yesterday. I was on interviews like 6, 7 hours, man. It was crazy. It's like a lot of credit has not been given to Dana White for being the pioneer through this COVID time when everybody was shooting them down, and he never gave up hope of getting these things through. And he kept looking and looking and looking. So he kept getting knocked down. And he kept getting back up like a real fighter does. And he found an avenue that, honestly speaking, kept me alive, because without him, I probably would have lost my gym, no doubt I would have lost my gym, or I would have to borrow the enormous amount of money, to keep me open. So, a lot of us owe a big giant gratitude to him for being that pioneer, because had he not did what he did at the time he did, someone might have done it later. Yes, of course, but, or maybe not. I don't know. All I know is that he had the balls to go out there and challenge everybody and all the naysayers and this and that, and he got it done. And he deserves a big giant applause from all of us, because he gave us entertainment, and he gave us hope, and he put a lot of people working, that weren't working. They would have starved. They would have been in a bad situation. So I mean, all a big praise to him for what he did, and I don't think enough, honestly speaking, has been said about him for what he's done. I personally don't think so. Not enough credit he's been getting. I mean, yeah, when he was doing it, he got a lot of negativity. Everybody jumped on board on that one, but how many people have jumped on board on the what a great job he did? And of course, it bothered him. It did, because he did that video about all the naysayers, this and that. So it bothered him. I'm not saying 100% it bothered, but I would have to think it did. Why would he put out a video like that?
No, it's
And
it's it's true. He broke it. Other sports were opening up after he showed a model. Other fight promotions opened up. I mean, look, you get the Warriors, UAE Warriors. You've got other places going on in other parts of the world having fights still following the same kind of model. And I think people needed entertainment. I mean, they need to see something making progress. You're stuck on this lockdown for the last almost year. You need to see something making progress to give you hope. You know, whether it's the fight league moving forward, ranks moving forward, some kind of metric that gives you like, oh, I see something. Okay. Get your mind
Right.
out of that, right? You know,
Correct. And he gave us that. So, anyways, kudos to Dana for keeping me I'm not in the poverty level where at least I still have a gym and I still have hope. You know.
that's the fights now, the ones you just watched, you get to see 6 out of 7. That's a good show. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Well, for Team Eagle, it's a great showing. And Sagid broke his finger with the very first punch. I guess I was just told that he broke his finger. I didn't know what was wrong. I go, something's wrong, but I couldn't figure it out. And now I know. And so, hey, but hey, it is what it is. That's what happens. Habib had a broken toe. He went into that fight and destroyed a great fighter. So, you can do things with broken anything, it appears, if you have the mindset. And Habib has the mindset. And so he goes and destroys, even handicapped, and that's what you need to do, though. You need to go out there and destroy regardless, because when you're in that cage, there's no excuses now. It's too late. No matter what happens, one-legged, no-legged, you gotta win.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of this throughout the years, and it's mind over matter. Going to get to the topics here that Jeremy gave for us. Let's see. So now, crowd versus no crowd, limited fan attendance at upcoming UFC events at Abu Dhabi. What do you think the preference is, crowd versus no crowd, watching as a fan on TV and cornering? How do you feel about it? I mean, there's going to be a little bit of a crowd for the Conor fight, right? They let some people in if they're all tested, and they must have some regulation for that.
They don't have probably 50% full of the stadium. Let me put it to you this way. I'll give you an example. My last world title fight, when I was fighting in the old Stone Age, when I got there, to the arena, it was packed, sold out, packed. I was so excited. I was like, wow. All right, I get to perform in front of all these people. I was really super, super pumped, right? I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to destroy this guy in front of these people because I'm a great singer type, that scenario. If you're great, you want a big crowd,
Right.
And so basically I was all pumped up, ready to go. And then when I went out there, half the crowd was gone because it was such a long show. It was like almost a 6-hour show, and I was the main. They kept me till the very end. I fought around 1 o'clock in the morning, bro. It was, people couldn't stay that long, so they left. Man, my energy went down. I was like, wow, this sucks, So of course, then you have to win the fight, so that's different. But the energy of the crowd, it's second to none. Being on the other end as a coach, when I coach, when the crowd's there, it's so much activity, so much energy. You're going all over the place. But then when no crowd's there, it's just like being in the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's great, but it's like being in the gym. You don't
Right.
get the from the crowd, and crowds are where it's at for the excitement, and don't get me wrong, watch it on TV is exciting, and even in person, it's somewhat exciting too, but it's not the same with crowds. Crowds are the best. And anybody that says otherwise, it's like a singer, right? Or a person that wants to do public speaking. He doesn't want to speak to one person or two people. He wants a whole arena there if he's good. So a singer doesn't want to sing to two people. He wants to sing to thousands and millions, That's what it's about, And that's my opinion on that. It's to me, it's like a sparring session, with no crowds. But hey, it is what it is. That's all we have. I'm watching.
I've been to plenty of fights, and I've been to the sparring place with you, and some of those sparring matches could have been a pay-per-view by themselves.
Yes.
They were worthy of it.
Yes, correct.
But it was all business when we were there. So, it was just another day at the gym. You get used to it after you're around it a lot. But I think some fans, if they would have saw it, they would have been like, wow. And when they first rolled out this thing with no fans, just to keep it safe, at first I was like, eh. And then I'm like, man, these fights are good. My focus went past the crowd into the real details, and I found a different way to enjoy it. And I enjoy them both. I don't,
Yeah.
I want the fans to come back. But I've also
Yeah.
been there on a card where you had some of your fighters fighting on what they call the dark card, like it's not
Yeah.
on the television, it's not
Yeah. Yeah.
televised. So they
Okay.
don't put them early. They come like they're fighting way
Yeah.
late at night and the crowd's
But
leaving.
that's what they learned from me, because when I fought, I was the dark card, the last in the dark card, and they lost half the audience, and that's why things changed. But it was, it was at the expense of me fighting, and the crowd left. So they're like, well, let's put the non-important people, the beginners. They're all important, but they're the beginner fighters. Put them at the
The
very end.
draw, the people that they paid the money to come see. If
Yeah.
you're the final fight on the card, it's tough. So any card is usually stacked by levels of excitement and increments to keep you
Yeah.
more and more engaged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes you'll get lucky on an undercard and see a major, amazing fight. So you got to watch them all sometimes.
You do see some up and coming young Hamzat, superstar potential that comes on the horizon. You go, wow, look at this guy. But that you do pick them up from there. It happens. It happens. But usually it takes step by step. But not often do you see someone rise that quick. But when they do, they're special.
Yeah, you get to see it fast. I mean, COVID got him head of the line privileges. He was a local. He was available. Boom, boom, boom. He get to jump what might have taken him 2 years in a few months, and he had the skills to do it, and he had the physique and the health to do it. So that was great. You get fast track sometimes.
And his talking was very, very, very Habib style like.
Okay, so in another topic here, hard sparring. Max Holloway not hard sparring ahead of his fight with Calvin Kattar, with it being his third fight camp in a row doing so. What do you think about his decisions, weighing the pros and cons of each side, how sparring and training has evolved over the years?
The pros is you're not used to going as super hard as you can. So I'm sorry, that's not the pros, that's the cons, right? You're not used to that.
Yeah,
the opposite. So basically, you're in a situation where you don't really know, you're not pushing yourself, so you don't know how much you can really go. On the good end of it, if you had a lot of sparring like he has, your body's fresher, so you can recover quicker, so you're able to push the long run. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm going to choose the hard sparring. As a fighter, as a coach, I would prefer my fighter to do that. But if they don't want to, I would never push it. I would just say, look, hey, it's up to you, but you should at least spar one hard day a week, at least one, to get the feel for it. The other days could be light, but at least one. But if they say no, I'm going to be okay with that too. It's their choice. You can't make somebody do something they don't want to do, because if it doesn't work out for them, right, then they go into that cage, and your idea wasn't exactly the way they thought it should have been, then if they don't have a good result, you're the one that's going to point the fingers at. So if you allow them and you tell them what they can or can't do and what they should or shouldn't do, then when they mess up, if they mess up, then they go, coach told me.
Well, circumstantial speaking, you had Habib, who, remember, he hurt his foot when we were there when he was training to fight Justin, and he's like, I'm going to take a couple of days to back off. He took a couple of days to regroup, and then he came in hard again, and he stayed on. And he just needed to get that little rest, understand his injury, know how he was going to work with it. Well, just my speculation from the outside.
No, you're right on the money, because on that one there, I told him, Habib, when he first showed up, I said, please, let's push the fight back. You can do that. We have enough time. They'll do that for you. Push the fight back 2 weeks, a month, or whatever. Push it back. He said, no, please, let me stay. Of course, I'm going to let him stay. Of course, because that's what he wants. Again, I know in my heart, if I'd have said, no, I'm putting my foot down, you're pushing that fight back, he would have listened to me. But I also know that wasn't the right thing to do. The right thing to do is go with the fighter. Whatever he wants to do, go with it, because he knows what he's doing. So that's why through this whole camp, all the bad things that happened, I would say, like I told you, Habib, you got a broken toe, blah, 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 blah. No, coach, I can still do it. See, I allowed him to dictate, but I had to point the facts, broken toe, amount of time, not enough sparring, et cetera, et cetera. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't have felt good about my coaching, but I did everything that I was supposed to do. So I felt that I did what I needed to do, and he felt he needed to do what he needed to do, enter the octagon, and look what he did. His mental was super, super, super strong. The last sparring was super great, and it's because I allowed him and he pushed for having me allow him. You know, but if I'd have said no, then we're fighting each other, even though he would have listened to me. That's not good. That's not the way to train a fighter. You got to
Yeah.
listen to your.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, he overcame so many odds, and it was beautiful to see. And he came in looking like a guy who never had a broken foot, or
Yeah,
never,
he,
he never,
amazing,
right?
amazing. So there's no excuses because if he would have lost, no excuses. He looked amazing in sparring, the last sparring. So it didn't matter. I don't personally think that I could have made him any better, even if he had no injuries and he had a perfect camp. He was amazing that day.
Well, the last, hard sparring, there's levels of hard sparring, but if you're not taking some impact, I understand getting your bell rung too many times is not a good thing. And, certain things, but then when you haven't done it for you jump back into a fight, when you are hard sparring, you kind of know how far you can go, just me estimating. And then if you haven't done it in a while, it's like, okay, I'm going to go sprint without sprinting for a while and go run the race. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, do you think of it like that? Like you gotta take it on, or you're gonna get in there and you're shocked. You're shocked or you're extremely lucky, right?
Yep.
So I see that. Now, the most stacked weight class, UFC most stacked weight class. Dana White's opinion, middleweight being the most stacked weight class. What do you think about his pick about the most stacked weight class in the UFC?
The middleweight. Isn't Israel going to light heavyweight?
Yeah. I mean, you get like, I guess Kevin Holland and a bunch of other guys coming up that are like pretty heavy duty, but I still think, my personal opinion, I think lightweight is just as much, if not more.
I think either or, lightweight or middleweight. I think either or. I think he's wrong. And I think someone says lightweight. I don't think they're wrong either.
Right.
It's definitely not light heavyweight anymore. I think Bellator has that nod, buddy. I really do. I think Bellator is the toughest light heavyweight division now, 100%. Based on the acquisitions that they had, and Bellator to me has got the best light heavyweight division now.
Okay, that makes sense. We're going on to fan questions. This is from Billy Boy. Is there a trait that all AKA champions share? Are there fighters that Coach Mendez looked up to during his fighting career when you were fighting?
No,
that's like a two-part.
No, the only person I've ever looked up to in my whole entire life was Muhammad Ali.
All right.
And he was a boxer, so it wasn't anything I was doing, but he's the only one that I really admired for how he carried himself inside the ring and how he carried himself outside, what he stood for, and his flashy talking, and he was entertaining, man. I love that guy. He is the only one I would ever in my life come up to as a fan, ask for a picture. Muhammad Ali. I'm shy as it is anyways, but I would definitely go if he was still alive and I had been anywhere he was at, and if it was not intruding and it was the right situation, I would have approached him and asked for a picture. Only him.
Now, part of that question is there a trait that all AKA champions share? Is there some common line, something that they all kind of have together?
They have desire to be the best, and they have the mental to not make to stay on course, be on time, do everything necessary. The sparring, the training, the rest. I mean, that's the one trait all the champions had. They have the mental discipline and the mental strength to be there and do what they needed to do.
No,
some are ability, some weren't. I'll give you a perfect example. John Fitch. John Fitch is my proudest, 100% million times proudest moment as a coach, because he proved you can do it without a coach like that I'm supposed to be. He proved that by not giving up on himself, by doing whatever he was given and not giving up on who he was and what he wanted. He was able to accomplish a world title and hardly got any help from me. I rarely ever held for him. I rarely gave him much advice. He never complained, never bitched about nothing. He just went to work. It's like, well, I'm off to work. Okay, coach is not there for me. That's fine. I got a one-legged guy I'm going to work out with. That's fine. I'm still going to do it. If anybody wants real motivation and say, hey, look, I can do it. Well, I'm not the most talented. Well, I'm not the most, given the most attention to. John Fitch. He was all of those. He wasn't the most talented. He definitely wasn't given the the attention, because I definitely didn't give him much attention. I loved him, but attention, no, I didn't give much attention. So he is by far ahead of anybody. When people say my proudest moment, and it's him. And I was. The funny part is I wasn't involved.
Yeah. We have this is from Jay Diaz. How did you start training people in MMA? Where did you get your knowledge? Was it hard for you in the beginning to become a trainer? Now, this is something, there's a note here, footnote from Jeremy. We might want to go on a deep dive on that. So I'd keep it a little tight, the answer on this, because, there is a really interesting story. We can go into a whole podcast on it. So why just put that in the middle? Right.
So the bottom line is, I went into the coaching because basically I was training people for money so I could make a living while I was fighting. And people were paying me to train them, and they would paying me to train them. And then they got the bug. They got good at what they did, and they wanted to fight. What was I going to do? They're paying me to teach them, and they wanted to fight. Well, you're paying me my fees. Well, I'm going to take you to fight. That's how I got involved. It wasn't something I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be a real estate agent the rest of my life, because being a real estate agent was really fun. You had your own hours. You did what you wanted. And I thought once I was done with achieving my highest level of physical competition, that I would go back to real estate and then give my all into real estate. But that wasn't meant to be. I chose the poor route with my coach.
Well, they kept coming to you, and they kept coming to you, and they kept coming to you. And just my outlook as the outsider who watched UFC from 1993 on, and some kickboxing when I could catch it. It was so random on TV. You didn't really have a place like, oh, it was on. Oh, you missed it. You might have been watching your favorite soap opera and the fight was over. You're like, hey, wait. And it didn't come back. You didn't have YouTube back then. But I watched, and I knew why guys, now I know why guys came to you, because a lot of people walked in and the Gracies wiped them out. And a lot of them didn't train in something that was like, they're like, what martial art works? So you were well-rounded. You had the boxing foundation, you had the kickboxing, taekwondo, and then you adapted to MMA, but you didn't chase the grappling, but you knew who to bring in for it to design your system. I mean, that's what I've seen.
Yeah. Well, they came to me, and I know how to pick somebody that came to me to implement them. Like Daniel Cormier, we were lacking wrestling. When he came to us, and I believe it was 2009, I believe, I saw a great coach in wrestling, and I wanted him there. And there you go. Proof is in the pudding. He's a great wrestler. Now he's a great, two-time, pound for pound, one of the greats, and it's having an eye for talent that can do it. You don't have to do it all. You just have to have the eye for people that know and that can do it. And I definitely do have that. I may not have the skill set, but I know who can and who does. And even sometimes you may not get the ideal guy, but you just get someone that can at least fill in the pieces. You may not have like a chess game, you may not have someone that knows how to use the bishop or the rook or the knight really well, but they do have the concept of how to move it. And that's it. But then you got the real experts that can know how to move it like a master. And that's when you really excel.
Now, another question, Meteora Sky. Coach, if you're Bolo, which one of these actors would you like to play in the film? Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Donnie Yen, or Jet Li? Which one of those characters, if you had to give up Bolo? I do think Bolo's suiting. It suits you.
Well, if I had to give up anyone, I'd have to go Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Hands down. Those other guys don't even interest me. They're entertainment, they're this and that. But Bruce Lee to me was the real warrior out of all those. The other guys weren't real warriors. Bruce Lee was the real warrior. The other ones were actors, martial artists, but not warriors. Bruce Lee was a warrior. So hands down, Bruce Lee. No ifs, no buts, no competition, no thought about anybody else. If I had to play anybody, hands down, Bruce Lee.
You know what? I was going to ask you a question. Were you watching Bruce Lee movies before you took on fighting, or was it happening during when you were a kid?
No, he got me interested in it, man. Bruce Lee, wow.
Me too.
Hooked on that guy was amazing when he had the screen presence, and still to this day, people that watch Chinese Connection, Fist of Fury, look at that and watch these things when he's not in it. When he's not in it, you kind of lose interest. You go, what are those guys doing? Oh,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. It looks stupid. You know, he comes in and you go, your eyes wake up. You go, whoa, look at this guy. His screen presence, you just get memorized by him. You go, wow. But take him out of the equation, it's just another kung fu movie that they're just hot, heat, hot, heat, hot, hot.
Yeah.
When he comes in there, it's like devastating. It's like you can't keep your eyes off the screen. You know, he's amazing. I still to this day, I think, I'm not sure, but I can imagine people using him as an example for acting to how to gain screen attention, you know, presence. You know, I can imagine that.
You know, it's interesting. I think that it just made me think. He was from the Bay Area, even though he's from Hong Kong, but also the Bay Area where his school started, AKA is from the Bay Area. It's interesting how much fighting is from the Bay Area. And it's just ironic. It could have all been in Ohio. It could have all been in, Texas, but the Bay Area. That's a very interesting thing that I see. You know, you get AKA, tons of fighters.
I didn't even think about Bruce Lee being from San Francisco.
Oakland. He had his school in Oakland.
Oh, did he? I thought it was San Francisco. Yeah. Oh, he went to the University of San Francisco? Did he go to university? Yep. Okay.
And then he had his supposed fight that the book's written around against some guy because they didn't want him to teach the style to Americans. So that was rather interesting. Okay, let's see. This guy's name is Who Am I? Great one. Great name. When is Zubaira's next fight and how is his improvement going?
Zubaira's next fight, I hope is coming soon. I don't know yet. I'm hoping he could get matched in March. I don't know. Maybe February, March. I'm not sure. He's gonna be training. He's been working on his improvements. I've told him, you know, you need to be a complete chess player, and he understands, and he's doing great improvement. He's working, man. He's working. Zubaira's on track. I don't know when he's gonna fight. There's no, I don't know when anybody's going to fight. We don't have any confirmed matches. The only thing I do know is Umar's fighting next Wednesday on the 20th, January 20th. That's it. And the other, Eagle fighters, I don't know. And Manel Cape, he's fighting, in the UFC in February. Another AK Thailand, Mike Swick's guy. He's fighting, and watch out for him. I expect him to potentially fight for a title within 1 or 2 fights of victories. He's very explosive. I haven't seen him because I've been here in Dubai, but Ron Kessler, our head jiu-jitsu coach, he's telling us that Manel is incredible. He is incredible. He's gifted. And Hab, he said, this guy's special. And I know because when I went to AK Thailand, Mike Swick told me about him. I watched him. He was very, very special, very fun to watch. So people are going to be very entertained by Manel Cape, when he makes his UFC debut in February. I forgot what date. You might be able to tell me better than I would. I think February.
I'll find it.
Yeah, February. I think, I'm not sure, but he's gonna show really well. Other than that, I don't know who else is on the pipeline. I do know also Usman, Habib's cousin, who I call the finisher. We're all gonna go to Las Vegas to train. And we'll see what we can get. We're all going to spend time in Vegas training, and we'll see. We'll see when we can fight or when we can't fight. We're expecting to get fights. We're hoping that Ali can get these guys booked soon, and I'm sure he's working on it. Ali's the best manager in the business. He's the best, man. Ain't nobody better than that guy. So I'm pretty sure Ali's going to get something going for these guys, and when he does, he'll let us know. But we're going to be training in the meantime.
Well, you just answered the question. Somebody asked, will Umar and Usman be with you at AK this fight or training in Dagestan? And basically they're going to Vegas with you. So that's good. Is Habib going to be cornering for Umar's fight?
Yeah, I believe he is. He better. It should be me, Habib, and I don't know who the other one is. Maybe Usman, his brother. I'm pretty sure Habib. I know Habib's going to be in his corner. He better smack him.
I think we have one more question, and then I think we'll do another cast. Let's do a post fight breakdown after this UFC this weekend. We get Kattar. Yeah. We'll just talk about one fight there. Kattar versus Holloway.
Yeah.
Who do you see pulling that one off?
It's a tough one, man. They're both freaking incredible. I don't know. I'm pulling for Max. I like Max. I don't know Kattar, so. Based on that, I'm just going for Max because I like Max, and Kattar is super dangerous. So I'm going with the person I like, not who the person I potentially think is going to win. I'm hoping Max will win, but either way, even if I thought Max wasn't going to win, I'd go for Max anyways because I like him.
And then you get two legends, the guys that were really on primetime fire back in the day. You know, Matt Brown versus Carlos Condit. They were contenders, or, you know, at least I know Carlos was, and he was like an interim, I think, at one time. And then Matt had so much potential. He was slaying. And then somehow just either time or competition or injuries spaced it out. So they're kind of like, I don't know if it's the end of the career fight to keep your name in the UFC or because it's an interesting fight. How do you see that fight going?
I don't know. It's a fun fight. Both great guys. Both warriors. Both warriors. Super, super tough. I don't know. I'm pulling for Condit, but I don't know. Condit's the one I would want, but I don't know. I really don't know. Matt Brown is no joke. Anybody that thinks that they're going to walk over Matt Brown, unless you get a good shot on him, it's a war, man. That guy's good everywhere. You know, he's very, you know, he pulls so many different weapons, and he's so strong with them that. And Condit's same thing. It's very tricky, you know, very
tricky and technical, very unorthodox. Yeah.
They're both very unorthodox, very, very explosive. They both can finish you with kind of variety of different technique that you're not used to seeing. So it could be an incredibly fun fight.
Now the last question I had here, we'll wrap up with this. Coach, what's the funniest experience you ever had with Habib?
Honestly, for me, it's when Shy Taylor, you know, she's like our gym front desk office manager per se. When she hit in the box, and you know, Habib came walking by, and she popped out, and I said, Habib, what do you got in there? Someone sent you something. What do you got in there? And Habib goes, go look at the open, and then she goes boom. And Habib just did this like this, like, oh, and that was for me the funniest moment, because watching him get scared like that, I was like, oh my God, that was priceless. It's on I think it's on my Instagram.
It's on your Instagram. It might be on our channel. That was a funny one. Yeah.
That was for me, that was the funniest moment. With Habib, there's many funny moments, but for me, I mean, that was stood out. But there's a lot of funny moments with him.
Oh, we could go on. We could spend a whole podcast on it. You've had so many good ones, you know?
On him, he's the man. He's the man. Anything he does, he's going to be successful at it, because, you know, he's intelligent enough to know how to do things properly. He's just a beautiful person. To know Habib is to love Habib.
And you know, in closing, I'll say you probably never spent this much time in your life with any one fighter, I would bet. You guys have gone beyond family, beyond the coaching, just one solid thing. You've spent so much time with him.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm his coach. I feel like I'm his family. I don't know. I don't look at him as him and I were fighter and coach. Yeah, I'm his coach, but I look at it like more family. That's why for me, it's like I always tell him, you know, whenever you look to the right, just, you know, I'll be there. Whatever you do, look to your right, I'm there.
Well, it was exciting. We did a podcast thanks to producer Jeremy, who is going to be doing more to help us, you know, and you guys can leave stuff for Jeremy in the comments in the community section, or I'll put something up there. You can ask him about different things, and he's going to be looking at it. He's helping us run the channel now. Usually Javier and I are just coming here like, hurry up, talk fast.
We just wing it. Let's just do this. Now, Jeremy's really good questions, things that the fans really want to know before you and I you can tell I ramble on about stuff that people are going, where is he talking about? The narrative is this. And I'm like, I go left field, right field, underneath field, whatever field. I'm everywhere. So Jeremy's keeping us on track where people are hearing things of interest, not things that coach want to say or you want to say. Because we do, I do it more than you. I do that more than you, but I ramble. I just ramble. But at least Jeremy's getting us on track, stick to the topic, and okay, go off key like you do, but at least you're giving the fans what they want to hear, you know. And so now we got my son as the producer. I think we're having a more of a successful show.
I think so. Tune in, guys. Subscribe, and thanks for coming on. Just wrap. All right, man. That was good, huh?
Yeah,
that was easy. So that was Jeremy style.
Yeah.